once again on our discussions on the Constitution, and we're still on hierarchy of authorities. Now, a question will come. The Constitution was done many years ago. Can it be changed? Yes, a Constitution can be changed, and usually we call it amending the Constitution. The whole Constitution, you won't find a need to be able to change the whole Constitution as such. But sections in the Constitution can be changed, and those are the things which can be addressed at a given point. Like the example which we have, always people talk about the situation like there's a lot of killings, and these people, why do we keep them and they eat our food and we keep them in the prisons? Why don't we decide that they get to be killed? You know, we eliminate them. So the death penalty maybe will be able to help us so that the killings go down. Those are the things which, when you're doing that, you're trying to say, let's amend the what? The Constitution, because that law cannot come into effect if the Constitution is not changed. Land without compensation, without to get the land without compensation, like that law, there is need to change to amend the Constitution. And how do you amend it? You need 75% of the National Assembly, meaning the Parliament, to agree, and on top of that, you need 6 provinces of the 9 provinces which are South African provinces to agree to it. So if you have 6 provinces out of the 9 and 75 national jointly together, then you can be able to change any portion of the Constitution. Next. The purpose of the South African Constitution, here we see that there are mainly several issues the South African Constitution tries to address. Every country will have its own problems specific to themselves, which they will try to address when they they draft their own constitution. In the South African context, this is what we have. It recognizes the injustices of the past. Not all countries had apartheid, for instance, so they won't have this section. But for South Africa, this is a very important issue, the injustices of the past. It honors those who suffered for the justice and freedom. People who were killed during the fight for freedom and to get out of the apartheid system. It honors them. That's what the South African Constitution brings about. It respects those who have built and developed the country of South Africa. As we know, South Africa has better infrastructure than many of the countries in the African continent. So the Constitution recognizes that. It acknowledges, or it understands, that South Africa is a diverse diverse but united population. That many people you find in South Africa, in many languages, as we'll see in the next. The areas of diversity which we have will be seen. So we look at the Constitution was drafted to make healing, because there's a lot of suffering which people have experienced during the time of apartheid. People killed, people pressed, and people segregated. The best was only reserved for the few whites, okay? And build a society based on democratic values and social justice. Justice for all, not justice for the few who are of a certain color, okay? And the Constitution was also drafted to create a democratic society with a government based on the will of the people, protected by the law. Meaning that the will of the people, not a few people, but the whole population of South Africa, deciding who has to rule them. So that's what it's all about. The way was to have the rule of the people as the society chooses their leaders, and to improve the quality of life of all citizens and free people's potentials. When they talk about improve the quality of life, meaning where do you live? Okay? Not we having situations where people are still up to today, after 25 years, challenged by the places where they live. But the government, what it has to do, it always goes back and refers to the Constitution. They know that the challenges are there. They need to do something. And always these are the things, that's what you have. And make sure that at least people's potentials, meaning that the people's talents, people's abilities in terms of education is provided for everyone to be able to access and improve their lives. Build a united and democratic South Africa. That's one of the reasons why the Constitution was drafted, okay? That there shouldn't be separations as there were previously, that people will be segregated and be put in different places and developed separately. But all can be able to live anywhere they want. Acknowledge God as the protector and the people and to bless the country. That's always you will find it in the national anthem. Okay. So you look at also the characteristic of the South African Constitution. The supreme law, okay, is the topmost law which you have in the country, and it has the powers even over the parliament. The parliament cannot do anything without consulting the constitution with the legality of their actions. Democratic system, it provides the equal voting opportunities for all citizens. No one's vote is useless. Your vote is as good as a rich man's vote who has billions. It's only one man, one vote. Bill of Rights are guaranteed equal rights and protection and rights of all South Africans, and independent courts subject only to the Constitution. That the execution of the right to be heard legally should be without favor. Not those who are rich will be now oppressing the poor because they don't have money to pay the judges. It shouldn't be like that. It should be fair for everyone. It should be without fear. It should be applied without prejudice. Okay? And then we have 3 levels of government. That's one of those areas which the South African Constitution, the characteristics, 3 levels of government which must not interfere with each other. The 3 levels of government, we're talking about the executive, we talk about the judiciary, and we'll talk about the parliament as such. So those are the 3 levels we'll see in details later on. And then we have the 9 provinces replaced the 4 provinces or 10 homelands. South Africa was divided in homelands and 4 provinces. But now the characteristics of the new constitution brings in 9 provinces instead of those which were separated, and they all gather together as the national chamber of provinces. That's the kind of where they gather together to deliberate. We go to the next one, depending on the time which we have. We have the diversity and recognition as one of the characteristics. Diversity in South African terms is, in the constitution, is about the 11 languages, the proportional representation of the electoral system, meaning that every area is represented according to its population. The 9 different provinces are part of the diversity because you find different people in some of these areas, and the traditional leaders and laws and protection of their rights of those traditional leaders. It has portion characteristics about the traditional leaders as part of the diversity, interests and diverse communities, and the 6 democracy strengthening institutions like the Public Protector, the South African Human Rights Commission, the Commission for the Promotion and Protection of Rights and Cultural, Religious, Linguistic Communities, the Commission for Gender Equality, the Auditors General, and the Electoral Commission. Okay? I think we'll be dealing with some more of this later on in our next session. Thank you.